Hi everyone, in this video we're going to go over website migration and we're going to go over some easy ways to migrate your website if you ever needed to. So as your website business grows, your website needs to also grow with it. At some point you might find yourself needing to migrate your website, and if you're not able to do this, you'll kind of quickly encounter a lot of problems. Some examples of why you might need to upgrade or migrate your website would be to do with your hosting solution, and this is most likely the cause. So your current hosting solution might not be suitable to support your traffic to support you as the website traffic on your site increases, as your site size increases, as your business develops. You might also need to migrate your site to take advantage of more advanced technology, more security features, things like that. So today we're going to go look at the most common ways to migrate your website. Each method is suitable for every kind of technical level, from the experienced site admin to the complete technophobe. But what is site migration? So migration is when your site undergoes fundamental changes, and this can include things like moving to a new server, changing your domain name, moving to a new CMS, changing protocols and top-level domains, restructuring your site, complete redesigns. All of these fall under it. It's not the same as the simply updating or editing your site. Website migration occurs when the site is entirely changed. Specifically, migration means either moving all of the backend files from your site from one location to another, or deleting these files entirely and replacing them with new ones. If you're worried that this seems too complex, don't worry. We will, in this video, we'll cover some non-complex methods as well, that are good for for people who don't have a lot of or even any technical experience as well. There are some risks that can happen that are a possibility whenever you carry out website migration. No two websites are exactly the same. That means no two website migrations will be the same either. This means that it's hard to predict how a migration might play out. The biggest risks kind of relate to traffic. So specifically, there are lots of stories of migrations going wrong and completely killing a site's SEO. Typically, this happens because the site owners fail to carry out one of the most important ranking factors over to the new site after migration. Things like content, metadata, carrying over domain and page authority, and internal linkings. Poorly carried out migrations can cause issues with 404 errors, incorrect sitemaps, duplicate content, directives on parent and child pages, and mixed content. All of these things will quickly tank your technical SEO, and you will need to do a complete site audit to begin fixing those things. Of course, prevention is always better than the cure, so it's important that whenever you do carry out your website migration, you carry it out the right way. So the first way to migrate your site manually is using something called an FTP upload. So FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol, and it's a piece of software that lets you upload files directly to the server where you host your website. The most common is an open source platform called FileZilla. FileZilla itself is free to use. It's a tool that's used to upload and download files from your host server. But an FTP migration is an involved process, and it's not something that you should undertake lightly. Specifically, if you're wanting to move your site from one server to another, you need to involve the following steps. You need to make sure that you have a backup of your old site. If you use cPanel, this can be done under File and Backups, and then you want to select Full Backup and download the compressed file via FTP. So your FTP channel will look something like this. You want to make sure that the host is connected, and then back up the whole file. Then you want to move your domain to the new server, and this involves changing the DNS settings with whichever site you've used to register your domain, and you can get the correct setting from your website host as well. Uploading your new site to the new server via FTP. So once your site domain is live, you can upload your site files to the new server using FTP client. So with the FTP client, you need to make sure you have the host name, you have the username, password, and you're able to connect it quickly. Again, you can get all of these, you can get an FTP connection from your hosting provider, so you know exactly how to log in. There are additional steps if you want to add an entirely new website to your server, but you'll need to create redirections from old to new content to ensure users aren't presented with a 404 error. So this method of FTP downloading is mainly for people who do have a technical background, who have experience using the cPanel, using DNS hosting and things like that. If you're not comfortable doing any of those things, then there are other methods out there. Another method is a dedicated website migration client called BlogVault, and there's so many more others like it out there. But if you have less technical experience but you'd like to still carry out website migration by yourself, there are a number of dedicated tools on the market, but they are only available to certain types of websites. So for example, BlogVault is a website migration tool specifically for WordPress users and WordPress sites, and you can use it to carry out website migrations. So this is a piece of software that carries out an FTP migration but on your behalf. BlogVault is one option for automated website migrations. All you have to do is enter the details and your FTP login credentials. The drawback is that you won't have the same amount of flexibility as you would if you had conducted a manual website migration. In fact, depending on your specific needs, especially in unusual cases, a migration tool like BlogVault might not be appropriate. But it is an option though if you are struggling with migrating your site and you're not too fussy on exactly what's being migrated over, if you need the whole thing migrated over. The way it works is if you go into their pricing on their page, it has plans depending on your number of sites, so you can have plans for one site. If you know you're migrating 3 sites or 10 sites, they'll have different pricing plans. Agency plans will cover you if you have more than 10 sites. So if you are an agency and you deal with a lot of this as well, then you can contact them for more. But essentially the more sites you have to migrate, the more expensive the plan is going to be. But essentially they all come with backup and staging, and they are professionals as well. So if you do have a WordPress website that needs migrating, at least this is professional and experienced team to kind of help you with that, and it's not something you need to struggle with at all. Another option for WordPress websites for migrating WordPress websites is using Flywheel migrations, and this is especially useful if you are moving your hosting to Flywheel's hosting. So Flywheel is a WordPress website hosting provider, and they specialize in hosting WordPress websites, making sure the WordPress websites are optimized and are able for you to manage your site as well. So Flywheel have their own migration plugin, and this is good if the website you currently have is WordPress and you wanted to move the website onto a Flywheel server. All you need to do is download the Flywheel Flywheel migrations plugin. And you want to click download. So this plugin is free, and then you want to add it to your site. And you want to go into plugins, and you want to click on add new, and you want to click on upload plugin, and you want to upload the new plugin that we just downloaded, which was the Flywheel migrations one, and you want to click on install now. Once you're done, you want to click on activate plugin. And all you need to do now is migrate your site to Flywheel. So you just type in the email address, and it'll ask you then to migrate your site over to Flywheel. So what you need for that is make sure that the site is set up on Flywheel. Type in the dashboard URL, give it a temporary URL, and enter your Flywheel username and password, and enter any of your databases that you want to enter, root database, things like that, and it just means you have a bit more customization over what you're migrating. And then just click migrate, and that's all you need to do. Your site will then be migrated over by the plugin, and that's it. Everything's already set up for you. Similar drawback is that you won't have the same amount of flexibility as you would if you conducted a manual website migration. So there are other options then if a migration tool isn't right for you, and one of that would be to hire an experienced website migration expert. This is probably the safest way to guarantee that your site migration goes as smoothly as possible. Different brands will have different goals for their migration. Some might be seeking out better lead generation, other might be wanting to add better functionality to their site. You might even be simply looking for a better deal on your hosting. So outsourcing your website migration to specialists that help you meet these goals. More importantly, experienced developers can put in place procedures and contingency plans which eliminate the SEO risks of website migration. We at Profile Tree offer a wide range of website migration, hosting, and management services. We are also experts in SEO, CRO, and UX, and we specialize in creating profitable websites which attract new users and transform them into paying customers. So speak to us today and find out more about how we can help with your next website migration project, as we are some experienced